there and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If anyone's ever asked you for a, air quotes, simple favor, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and I only use the bathroom at home.
I'm Nico, and I only use toilets with bidets. Come at me, peasants.
Well, I'm Dan, and I have almost gotten locked in a bathroom before.
In like a fun way?
Nope.
Oh, well.
And we're here on our last Monday review of the month.
Ever.
And Dan, what is special about this month? What are we wrapping up here?
Well, we're wrapping up several things this month, and Cosmic Horror is our
Oz?
theme. So we are wrapping that up with our last
Okay.
Cosmic Horror.
All right. Justin, I'm proud of you. This is an improvement.
And today's movie is glorious. This one was directed by Rebekah McKendry, starring Ryan Kwanten as Wes, J.K. Simmons as Ghat, Sylvia Grace Krim
Perfect.
as Brenda, Andre Lamar as Gary, and that's it. We open with Wes, a man who has just ended a relationship with his girlfriend Brenda. I chose my words carefully. You'll see. He pulls into a random rest stop and contemplates his life. Later that night, he gets incredibly drunk and burns almost all of his possessions. The next morning, he runs into the bathroom to throw up. Afterward, he begins a conversation with the voice coming from the other stall, which is connected through a glory hole, known as Athanathoa.
Yep.
Dan,
Yeah.
what goes down after that?
Well, it turns out Ghat is really a cosmic demigod. And to make a long story short, he needs a favor from Wes. At first, Wes doesn't believe him, and he tries to get a look, but as Ghat warns him, if he ever saw him, it would break Wes's mind. Also, he's got Wes locked in the bathroom until he gets what he wants.
Locked up, won't let me out.
You see, Ghat's dad is a cosmic being that wants to destroy all life in the universe, and he'll use Ghat to do it. That is, unless Wes does him one favor.
Nico, I am riveted to the spot. What happens next?
So Wes tries to escape, but no matter what he does, there really is no escape from the bathroom. And then in parentheses, it says, Nico, am I right? Which is way too real recently. Don't worry about it. At any rate, aka Ghat, tells him that if his dad finds him before Wes does him that favor, it's over for the universe and everyone inside it. On the plus side, all Wes has to do is, quote, satisfy aka Ghat's corporeal form. Simple, right? Wes tries to escape again and sees a property supervisor outside. Wes then tells aka Ghat to open the door, which he does, and Gary enters the bathroom.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Gary doesn't last too long, as Ghat eviscerates him and blood rains down in the bathroom. Cue Slayer. Afterwards, Wes freaks out and he decides to do what Ghat wants, and he literally sticks his dick in the glory hole. Except, that's not what Ghat wants at all. You see, what Ghat really needs is for Wes to offer a piece of his liver. Wes doesn't want anything to do with that, and he counters that why should he help the universe? It's always treated him like shit, and then he tells Ghat about his abusive father. I think there's more to this, though. Nico, go a little deeper.
So Wes goes even further beyond and calls Ghat's dad to come and get them because fuck it, we ball, I guess. So the walls of the bathroom fall apart, showing an empty cosmic void. Wes says that the void is beautiful, and it is. But Ghat counters by removing Wes's memories of Brenda. This whole movie, Wes has basically been reliving moments that he had with Brenda as a way to sort of escape this situation that he's finding himself in. So at this point, Wes realizes that he doesn't want to lose those memories. So he agrees to help Ghat, and he goes into Castle Oblivion with Riku, Goofy, and Donald.
Riku!
Not quite, but Dan, I'm gonna need you to guide us through this ending.
So Wes cuts out his liver, and Ghat reaches through to grab it. We see a flashback that shows that Wes is actually a serial killer, and he killed Brenda after she discovered the photos that he took of his victims. Having received the necessary satisfaction, Ghat ascends to the ether and the universe is saved. Wes asks if he's a hero, and Ghat remarks that the two of them are beings of pure destruction, neither fit for this world, and that Wes will be forgotten. The movie ends with Wes dying outside of the bathroom, holding a teddy bear that Brenda got him as a gift. The end.
Well, all right. Let's go ahead now and just tackle this head on. First and foremost, Nico, how does this movie look?
Well, I am happy to report that this cosmic horror movie has the required cosmic horror color palette of neon purple being a very prominent feature. And despite largely only taking place in a shitty ass bathroom, it actually looks pretty good. And I was rather impressed with the stall graffiti, both in general as well as specifically the glory hole situation that they had going on there.
Agreed. Dan, how's it look to you?
I thought it looks pretty good. I also agree with Nico that the bathroom dinginess and everything looks pretty good. I don't know that good's a way to say that, but it looks well dingied.
Yeah.
And as the movie goes on, it gets dirtier and dirtier as Gary gets exploded and rains blood everywhere. And
Again,
it just looks good, right? And even like the CG near the end when we see like the cosmic universe and Ghat's father trying to come through or whatever.
And even Ghat himself.
They're clearly CG, and it's clearly not a huge budget, like, kind of Marvel kind of budget movie or anything like that. But it still looks pretty good.
Yeah, I would say that this is definitely not a super big budget movie. That's pretty clear.
I feel like most of the budget went to J.K. Simmons, if I'm honest.
Potentially, I don't know. But I will say that they picked their spots well. By shooting most of the movie in this bathroom, they probably saved a lot on setting. You're in the bathroom for most of the movie. I think that Ghat's dad kind of looked a little but I thought Ghat himself looked pretty cool. Yeah, it's CG, and yeah, it's not the greatest CG I've ever seen, but I thought it was creative, and I thought it looked pretty good. Also, the blood when it was there, especially with poor Gary, I thought it looked great as well. Sounds. Dan, where are we at with those?
I liked Ghat's voiced by J.K. Simmons. They also added like a little bit of like more low frequency content to his voice that made him sound a little bit more ethereal and Ghat-like, and I thought that sounded good. I thought in general the acting was pretty good. I feel like at times it may have been slightly overacted actually, but I don't think it was a problem. I thought everything sounded good.
All right. Nico, where you at with the sounds?
So before I talk about the sounds in general, I want to just clarify something for the listener. When Ghat is introducing himself, he tells Wes to hold his tongue and then try and say, "Got another one," slowly. And that comes out to "Ghat," which is what we've been just word vomiting into our microphones, just so you know. But I will agree with Dan's comments about the kind of at times overacting, but considering this is such a small cast, I almost want to forgive it, because if the suspension of disbelief is broken by just, wow, this is a particularly chatty conversation that we're having in a bathroom, then I feel like you're not going to get very far into the movie with any kind of satisfaction. So I am personally willing to overlook it, but I can understand why some people would be put off by it.
I do want to jump in real quick too, and I still agree with my statement that it was overacted, but I'm still also impressed because this movie was filmed during the pandemic, and J.K. Simmons was never on set, and his parts and I forget the gentleman's name, but who played Wes, they were recorded individually. So they got together over Zoom a few times to practice and kind of understand what they were going for, but it would be very difficult, I think, to act in a film, especially as much as Wes does, and not even have somebody to really play off of.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't think he got it 100%, but I'm still like very impressed with what he did.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that.
I didn't either.
So that is pretty difficult to do. I don't really have anything else to add outside of what you two have said. So let's get right down to brass tacks. What do we think about Ghat, our cosmic demigod Titan, as he calls himself at times. What do we think about him? Given that he said he was born of this being that literally existed in nothingness and then accidentally gave birth to these children that attacked, and the lifeblood of this creature is what essentially created the known universe, and Ghat is the destroyer. And if the father ever finds him, the universe will be destroyed. What do we think about Ghat?
I thought it was kind of cool. This movie is based off of one of H.P. Lovecraft's stories, Out of the Aeons, which I've never read, so I don't know if the statements I'm about to make are also present in that OG story.
I haven't read that one myself.
I haven't either.
Like, I don't know if Ghat is Ghat in that story or if he's a different being, a different whatever, different name. But I thought it was pretty cool because that his whole sort of backstory is, to me, very like reminiscent of like Christianity and just God and Jesus and the angels and things like that, like kind of similar, and in also other religions as well. And I just find it interesting that Ghat's nickname is Ghat, which is very close to God.
Yeah.
And just like there's a lot of like religious similarities that I kind of see. And I just kind of liked it, and how Ghat was trying to kind of run away and get his power back so that he could continue hiding, and that he doesn't want to destroy the universe, even though that's his sole purpose. And at the end, he kind of gives in a little bit. He doesn't destroy the universe, but he says, like, I'm not fit for this planet, like you, for this whole universe, like you and I aren't meant to exist. And I thought that was a cool, like, self-awareness piece there.
It's funny that you say that about Ghat, because I was thinking of, in Greek mythology, Kronos,
Sure.
and how his children literally were, he ate his kids and they like cut out.
Don't talk to me until I've had my son.
So I was thinking about that, but I think it's somewhat touching that whenever we think about cosmic horror and those unknowable gods, that they're always either ambivalent or unconcerned with humanity. And God's like, over the millennia, I've actually kind of started to like you guys, so I'm not trying to kill everyone right now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. And Ghat doesn't actually want to hurt people. Like, he tells Wes several times about Gary, like, dude, you don't want him coming in here. I don't want him coming in here. This is not going to end the way you think it's going to end. And Wes never listens. So, Nico, what'd you think about Ghat?
So I'm going to make a comment out of complete left field, which is par for the course for me. And I don't want to be too specific because I don't want to spoil something else, but I will say the themes and overall like execution, the more you two talk about it, the more I am increasingly reminded of Persona 3. And that's all I'm going to say about that without going any deeper. Because I know there's a few people who either listen to this listen to this who have either been playing through it or just don't want to be spoiled. Dan, I'm pretty sure you're one of those. And beyond that, I did like the execution of Ghat. I think that you really hit the nail on the head, Dan, with your comparisons to like Christianity and other sort of like Abrahamic stuff. It's almost like the stall itself is an altar in a way. So maybe Justin, that's why you thought it felt kind of like a horror short. Pew, 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 pew.
Whoa, the wordplay.
I think it's interesting, Nico, that in previous episodes you will spoil every other fucking movie than what we watched. And now you won't even spoil Persona.
But aren't you still fucking playing Persona 3?
I'll probably never finish it.
Oh, well.
Well, no, stop. There's other people out here who I know are playing it. So, conscientiousness, lads, for that and that only.
Olaf does die in Frozen 2, though.
Okay. And let's go ahead now and talk about our only other real character, Wes. Dan, what are your thoughts on Wes?
I thought it was interesting. I did not see the twist of him being a serial killer coming, but I did feel like something was off with him, and like maybe something not everything was all there.
Right.
But I thought it was kind of interesting, and his whole like backstory with his father was interesting too, because that is something that serial killers often have like a poor relationship, an abusive relationship or something with
Right.
their parents.
Does that mean I'm the most likely of the three of us to become a serial killer?
Yep.
Cool.
No, because serial killers can't have celiacs because they sound too similar.
Oh, true.
Or celiac killer.
What if I'm a serial killer lyrical thriller like I'm on Aesop Rock or some shit?
I like that.
Well, that would be different.
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty interesting. And I thought it was interesting how when he's remembering Brenda, I knew that something was off there. Like I thought I guess I was kind of right. I thought she died. I didn't realize she was killed. But I was just like, the way he's talking about her doesn't sound like she just left him or like just broke up with him like yesterday or something. Like it felt like it happened a while ago maybe, or she was killed in an accident or something like that. So I thought it was cool how they kind of dropped maybe hints throughout, but not actually gave it away until the end.
Indeed. Nico, what's your thoughts on our local serial killer?
I think it kind of explains some of the more wild boy shit that was happening at the beginning of the movie, where he just decides to burn a bunch of shit that he had in his car. And here I am thinking, okay, this guy's a fucking lunatic. You don't need to go that hard, buddy. But at the same time, while he is like definitely a piece of shit, this also, I feel like, does sort of explain a little bit of the context earlier in the movie. But I don't know. I think one of the bigger payoffs of that whole sort of subplot was just the intimidating ass scenes that we get with this big ass teddy bear going like, I love you, and just like him shitting his pants or whatever.
I actually think that the character of Wes is pretty brilliant. Not the character, but the idea. Because we get this guy, and at least me, I'm like, oh man, what's going on with him? Something's wrong. And then he says he fucked it all up. Like he ruined everything. He says these things all the time. And God keeps telling him, you got that guilt inside you. You feel that guilt. And there's that cut to the scene at the party where he's like staring at this blonde chick, and Brenda walks up and she's like, oh, they start talking, and that's kind of when they meet. And, he asks her at one point, he asks, are you offering? And then he smiles. And that are you offering kind of means something else with that context now. But it's interesting. And I was rooting for him the whole way through. I'm like, maybe you get it together. Maybe you get her back in some way. Because I didn't think she was dead like Dan did. I thought she just left him because he cheated on her. And as it turns out, he was a total piece of shit because he was a fucking serial killer. So, yeah, like I was happy when he died. And I thought it was interesting that neither one of them could really escape their fate. And that was a theme in the movie, I would say, because Ghat was a destroyer.
Pretty good metalcore band in the mid-2000s.
Ghat was a destroyer, and he ended up not destroying the universe, but he led to the destruction of this guy. And Wes, he was...
Sounds so much less cosmic when you frame it like that.
Yeah.
Fuck this one guy in particular.
Great value, cosmic god, destroyer of the universe. I guess I'll just destroy this guy.
Yeah. So now we're going to go ahead, and I want to ask real quick, is this more comedy or horror or something in between? Where would you categorize this movie?
I would put it at like Justin mentioned Netflix prior to this episode, prior to the recording.
Right.
If I were Netflix, I would say this is a whimsical, introspective horror.
Get him.
It's pretty light on the horror. I don't think there's a lot. Maybe
it's
like
not
a
scary.
Touch. No, it's not scary at all. There's not a lot of tension either. I think it has horror elements, and it maybe classified as horror. I don't know, but it's definitely comedy, and I think it's a little whimsical too.
Now, Nico, where does it sit with you?
I think it's got enough of the trappings of a horror, specifically a cosmic horror, to earn its stamp in the horror genre, but it is definitely far more comedic, and it's trying to be comedic. Like there's multiple moments where I broke out laughing, in particular when Ghat hands him this jagged ass broken piece of glass, and Wes starts to like dig into his belly a little bit, and then like right when the music is crescendoing, Ghat chimes in, Wes, it's on the other side of your body.
Yeah.
And there were a few moments like that where just I found myself definitely chuckling more than I was expecting to. So I think it's probably more comedy, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Nico. I think this is one of those horror adjacent movies because they use the trappings of horror, but they're not trying to scare you at all. There's like 0% scare in this movie. And because of that, I think it's one of those where, yeah, you got to have horror listed somewhere in there, but I think it's a comedy horror, not a horror comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, I buy that.
But we're going to go further down this rabbit hole now and ask, where does this land on the cosmic meter? This month, we've looked at a couple different films and we've ranked where they go from 1 to 10. How much of a cosmic horror are they really? And, you know, Dan had the humdinger where he said, keep in mind, guys, just because it's Lovecraftian doesn't mean that it's cosmic horror, which is true. So, Dan, I'm not over it yet. Where does this rank for you? You go first. You step out onto the edge.
Pause.
I think I'm going to give it 7 out of 10 cosmics.
Really?
Okay.
It wasn't very horror-y, so I guess that's sort of the main deduction for me if we're talking about cosmic horror. It's just not the horror part.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a bit of descent into madness. He definitely kind of gets crazier and crazier as things goes on. We have a cosmic being. Looking at the cosmic being breaks his mind. I just feel like we have a lot of the trappings of cosmic horror, minus the horror. And I think it's a 7 out of 10 cosmic.
It's funny that you say that, Dan, because I'm literally with you. I think it's 7 out of 10.
Nice.
For the exact reasons you described, because it literally is cosmic horror, just no one's trying to scare you, but the overall concepts are still there. Like, there are other demigods out there running around the universe who are neither good nor evil, and they simply are getting rid of their father, who they know wants to just eradicate everything, and they're like, no, we don't want that. But they could be those crueler gods that we mentioned. Nico, where are you at on the cosmic scales?
I think I'm actually going to give this an 8 out of 10. Like,
Okay.
I agree with the both of you, but I feel like there is just more essence of the unknowable by L'Oreal or whatever the fuck. I don't know perfume companies, but Dior, there we go. I think there is a good hefty amount of, like the both of you said, sort of like his brain just breaking over time, and the fact that like we only get sort of like a metaphor of an explanation as to what was going on. Like he said earlier, you know, like I've been called like or compared to titans, and like there's other words that are better for it. So like this is Ghat trying to work within our realm of understanding, and I feel like there is similar to how when he starts to fuck around, his memories go bye-bye among other things, and he finds himself like waking up in weird positions and everything. I think there's just a little bit more of the unknowable than perhaps the other movies that we've seen this month.
Fair
I
enough.
can definitely see that.
All right. And the last thing I'm going to ask you guys, was this a satisfying ending to the movie?
Yeah, I mean, fuck this guy, right? He sucks so bad. I think he might be the worst of all of our protagonists we've seen so far. It's fucking close, but I think he's the worst.
I agree. I think it was satisfying. Playing off of Nico said, it was satisfying to see him die. But also, Ghat sort of goes back to hiding and his self-realization. I don't know that he was self-realized throughout the movie, because I think maybe he always knew that he was the only destructive power. But I liked the way they wrapped his story up as well.
Agreed. And I agree with what you both say. Wes is a piece of shit, but I just thought about this. In a way, this is almost kind of like an inverse take on every cosmic horror story like ever. Because in this one, the Eldritch God is breaking through into this world and he's attempting to stop it.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Eldritch
sure.
God doesn't want to come through. He's like, yo, you got to stop me from coming through. I don't want to. And that's always funny because it's always the other way around. So there you go. Now we're going to stroll into the what would you do. I thought about this for a little bit, and I'm actually going to ask something poignant instead of
out of pocket.
The obvious.
In the movie,
the answer to that question that we're all thinking of is fuck no. Just on the record.
In the movie, Ghat he has one final throw of the die to convince Wes to cut out a piece of his liver. And he does the one thing that he thinks would convince Wes that he would lose the memory of Brenda. If there was a cosmic being attempting to get you to cut out a piece of your liver, what's the one thing they would show you like, hey, man, if I don't get sent back home, this won't exist anymore? What would it take for you to sacrifice yourself? What would you give up yourself for?
I think it would be my friends, I guess. I mean, my friends and family. Just life is tough sometimes, and it's friends and family that keep you going. And as I get older, and as my parents get older, and as everyone gets older, I realize more and more how important that is. So I think if a being was like, hey, all your friends and family, I'm just going to remove all memories of them, I'd be like, all right, I'll give you my liver.
As I get older, a less problematic metal band. So
right? That was a good one.
Oh man. That was Justin, like top 3.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you. I thought about your answer, Dan, and it's a possibility, but I think for me,
it's a possibility.
Okay. Oh my! There are 2 possibilities.
2 possibilities.
It's back. We can't.
No, I will say,
Donkey. Now I'm here too. Oh, Shrek, we're just the bit that's never gonna die, huh?
I'll say this. Probably, if similar to Wes, I think if I saw The Void, I would think there would be some kind of beauty in that.
I'd be like, hell yeah, that's a kick-ass movie.
But I think for me, he'd just have to show me
the meaning of being lonely. But that's literally what it is, though, because you would feel so lonely without your friends and family. So,
well, not even that though. I think he'd just have to show me just like a really beautiful scene on Earth. Just like whether it's, I don't know, like a snow-covered forest or just something really beautiful about nature. And then,
okay, Emancipator,
this would
be cold enough.
This would have to be it. Like he'd be like, and this would be gone. And everything that humanity's worked for, everything that the Earth, the billions of years of evolution and just growth, all for this, all to just end. So either that or Peter Pringle playing the Babylonian, the oldest hymn known, Hymn of Gilgamesh. We stand Peter Pringle over here.
But in those ancient days.
In those ancient days. Nico, you got to answer now.
Yeah, I'm going to be... I apologize for how dark this is about to
get. You could
get.
just say tacos, bro.
No, like...
I thought about saying tacos, actually. I'm literally making tacos for dinner, and I thought about saying that.
I am too.
Oh,
nice.
Keep going.
I'm having a frozen pizza. Anyway, like...
I mean, if you kind of wrap it up, it could be you fold it. It's like a taco, right?
Taco. Yeah.
A horrible cauliflower taco. Anyway, a very large, horrible cauliflower taco. It's my favorite children's book from back in the day. But if I was interacting with some sort of eldritch being, and through my interactions with that just buddy of mine that I've just met, I knew for a fact that everybody on Earth was going to die and we would just all be gone, I wouldn't need any convincing. I would just do it. Like, I'm thinking of all the people suffering in the world right now, and if I could prevent more of that by just giving a part of my body that would regrow, like, hell fucking yeah, I would so happily, like, take part of myself to save the lives of billions of people. That's not even a fucking question, bro.
All right, Nico
We're not
hereby
preventing their
submits.
suffering, though.
I would call dying suffering.
Well, Nico
okay.
hereby.
I 100% would.
Nico hereby submits his
Global
candidacy.
death isn't suffering.
I mean,
If it's
if you die
instantaneous, I think is Dan's
instantly
point.
or very quickly, it's not really, you're not suffering. You're just
I would call
gone.
a loss of life at any measure to be suffering.
I don't think it is.
Well, if there is no one left to suffer, is there suffering?
Yeah.
I mean, if you
I
just
mean, that
kinda-
doesn't negate the people who died.
If you just,
I guess aside from literally negating their
The
existence,
people-
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, if you just pass away in your sleep peacefully, I don't think you really suffered, did you?
Well, I think here we are on the podcast. I think I revealed myself to love the environment. Nico is probably got a candidacy for sainthood, and Dan just wants the universe to end. All right, and no, I'm
I
sorry,
didn't
how
Dan
am
didn't
I
say
the
that.
most
Dan didn't say that.
moral
Dan,
suddenly?
Dan didn't say that. But what a role reversal from Nico. I thought he was going to be like, "Fuck you all."
Tacos would also do it, like, to be 100% real.
I'll say this. Let's turn to the critic review now because I think there's a surprise on the horizon.
I've been spoiled for it, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm sorry.
right. Nico, you're out of the running today. Dan, if you get within 10 points of the score, you win. What do you think it is?
I think it's nice. I think it's 69.
You're wrong.
Ah,
This
I
has an
kinda figured.
87% from
Okay.
critics on Rotten Tomatoes,
okay.
a 56% from the audience. But I really want to know what you guys think. Where you at?
I'll go first. I'm going to start by saying that this is a surprisingly short film. You can knock this out real quick and just go on with the rest of your day. I had a surprisingly good time with this. It's a lot of fun. It plays to a lot of themes that I know and love, and I'm always going to be a huge fan of J.K. Simmons. I'm going to give this an 80.
I'm going to give this one a 76. I had fun. I enjoyed it. To be honest, this felt like a horror short, like Nico said. It felt like a horror short, just extendoed. And I feel like this
Horror
movie,
long, if you will.
yeah. And I feel like this movie could have been maybe 5-10 minutes even shorter. And I think it would have maybe been a little bit better for that. I think there's the ever so slightest amount of drag because it's like they spend a solid like 30 minutes on the whole do me a favor thing. And I think we could have maybe gotten past that part further and then explored more because it took them a while to get there. And then once they got there, it was like boom, 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 boom. That's my only real criticism. Obviously low budget, which they can't help. It's not like you can just imagine up some money. So all in all, 76, I liked it.
I pretty much agree with everything both of you said, both critiques as well as positives. I am actually going to split the difference and go 78.
Fair play.
And I'll say for the record, you know that the dialogue in a movie is good when a movie is mostly dialogue. Yeah, there's some actiony parts too, but it's the dialogue that you're there for the most part.
You know the dialogue is good when there's a lot of it.
Well, and it like you stick around, you know what I mean? You don't just like phase out.
Justin's
Fair,
certified yapper.
Well, let's go ahead now and line them up. Would you recommend this movie?
I would.
I think I would.
I would as well. Golden Seal?
No, I don't think so.
What is the budget? Because depending on the budget, I would be willing to give this a diamond in the rough.
How the fuck? You almost had me, Nico. You went this whole thing without skipping ahead. But yes, carry on, sir. So Nico, to that point,
No, you carry on.
Carry on, sir. I'll carry on.
to that point, Nico, it was distributed by Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this was an indie joint.
Was or wasn't?
Was.
Okay. I'd agree with that.
So because of that, no Golden Seal, but are we gonna give it a diamond in the rough?
I'd be willing to say yeah.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so too. So all right. The diamond in the rough sound
Okay.
has
All right.
been alerted, and there it is. So this gets the diamond in the rough from us here.
Who would have thought that out of our Cosmic Horror Month, the one film that we scored the highest and recommend and give it Diamond in the Rough award is about a god who sits on the other side of a glory hole?
The world is wicked, sir. The world is wicked. But we want to hear your thoughts about anything we've discussed here today. Hit us up. We're on X and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Plus, check all our episodes. That's right. It's at dotdhorror.com. But till next time, dear listener, take care of one another.
Wash your fucking hands.
Yeah, wash your hands. For real. But as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.